So that's what Iran's military capability being completely decimated looks like. That's what total victory looks like. We beat them. Pete Hegseth said we win. We totally won. Look, that's what winning looks like. I hope Israel feels all the winning.
Conspiracy theories are entering a
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
Let's just say that there's some propaganda going around. There's some fucking spin. There's some censorship. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention back during Iraq. But I feel like we are entering a new era of empire. Of empire in decline. And if you were to listen to what Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and all of the Jewish shills on the internet are saying about the war, you would have a distinctly different impression about what's happening than if you were to actually do your research and listen to independent journalism and chase down leads for yourself and verify some of the fucking claims being made and some of the outlook of what's happening. And everything starts to reshape once you look at the big picture. We will talk about the rumors that Netanyahu might be dead or injured or missing. We'll talk about some of the AI videos that have come out, probably AI videos. We'll talk a little bit about Ben Gvir and possible other casualties of the war, though there's not a lot of clarity on any of it because of all the censorship. We'll talk about the U.S. casualties, the U.S. bases, the U.S. radar systems that have been hit. We'll talk about the actual balances of power. We'll talk about the very likely probability of boots on the ground trying to take the fucking Strait of Hormuz or possibly Karg Island. We'll talk about all sorts of things that we were told were never going to happen. Things that we are told certainly already happened. And just how fucking backwards it all is. But strangely optimistically, I am more and more every day coming to the conclusion that I think this is the end of Israel. I think Israel will not survive. Every progressive development in this story leads me to believe that Israel has overplayed their last hand. And it's not the part of the poker game where they're already all in and they're like, and the cards are down and they're literally gone right now. But I think that we are at the part of the game where they just lost such a big hand that there's almost no coming back from it. I don't see any way that Israel survives this. And that has me feeling good. That is what's carrying me through the absolute shit show that is fucking Israeli bot X lately. That's what's letting me read the Laura Loomer madness and not want to throw my phone across the fucking room. You always got to remember that what's this quote? The night is darkest before the dawn. The kvetching is loudest before the cabal of the cabal, so to speak. And yeah, we will talk about nukes as well, for sure. We'll talk about all of it. And I'll show you a bunch of new tools that I've been building. I'm, as usual these days, have been trapped in this cycle of needing to understand better what's happening and building tools to help me learn, help me generate reports and infrastructure and understanding. And then I just spend all day building tools and I don't actually get a show ready in time. And then it's like the end of the day and Candace is on and it's like, fuck, I guess I'll stream tomorrow. Shout out to Bag for gifting a fat bag of subs in the Twitch chat. Thanks, homie. Appreciate it. Thanks for looking out for everybody, getting everybody in. I I don't know if subscriber only chat is on or not. But I'll try to keep my eye on the chat to make sure we don't get botted in here, because we're going to be talking some shit. We're going to be exposing some of the stuff that I don't exactly think we're supposed to talk about. We're supposed to be towing the line. We're supposed to be shilling for Israel like the good goy that Loomer wants us to be. But unfortunately, we ain't really down like that. We don't exactly play that game. Larry can get fucked. So, as you all know, I am no expert at any of this. This is incredibly complicated stuff. And I would bet that most of you aren't experts at it either, right? And so when you're trying to understand a situation as complicated as World War III and you're not an expert at World War III, you should be looking at lots of expert takes from all the various fields that are involved in the conflict. So that's military, that's energy, that's infrastructure, that's the economy, that's the politics, that's the culture in the Middle East, that's all these things, right? And you should be sourcing your journalism from a wide array of highly experienced, well-established independent journalistic sources. I have been doing my best to build an aggregate of all of that reporting that I'm intaking constantly, like literally fucking constantly. Like I'm falling asleep watching like Colonel McGregor talk about what's going on. I'm waking up to like John Mearsheimer. I'm spending my day with like a podcast or like update videos on. I'm building reporting funnels that are bringing everything in real time, updates constantly from multiple like dozens of sources, and trying to vet all of it, because there's so much misinformation, there's so much narrative, there's so much propaganda from our own side, let alone from the Iranian side. And there's so much fucking shilling being paid for, largely by Israel, but now our government's obviously getting in on it real hard too. And so it just takes so much combing through the information and double checking of things to figure out what the fuck is going on. Okay, so I've been doing my best to do all that, and it's easy for me to forget that, like, to go over all the details, because to me, all the details are now old. I feel like it's old news that actually, like, our entire military-based presence in the Middle East might be done for, which is a crazy fucking thing to say. But it's easy to forget that, like, we might not all be on that same page. We might not all realize that. And that is not my assessment. That is the assessment of very well-established ex-warfighters, of former generals, of extremely experienced war reporters. Many people are kind of collating a body of evidence that shows that not only are we losing our radar systems and our air defense systems and kind of wide open over there, not only are we losing our defensive missile stockpile and basically out of defensive missiles, but also our bases are evacuated, bombed, wide open, and we very well might never be going back to them. Our relationship with the Gulf states is irrevocably destroyed. We are at a turning point, a distinct turning point in the American empire. And it very much feels to me like it's the end of the American empire. And maybe I'm just young and naive. Maybe I was just too young for the Iraq War. But from where I'm sitting, it sure feels like this is the end. And we're going to go over all the evidence of why I say that and share it all with you and let you all come to your own conclusions. And obviously, I'm not saying like tomorrow the U.S. collapses. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we are at a point of the decline of our global hegemony that shit's about to get very different in the world. From the economic impacts of this to the political, the diplomatic impacts of this, the broken alliances, the implications for Israel if they don't fucking find a way out of this. The potential risk to the nuclear, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for it, but basically the unspoken agreement that no one's going to nuke each other. There's a lot that might change in the next weeks and months. And there's certainly no end in sight to this whole conflict. So the real question today is, where the fuck do we even start? Where do we even start? And maybe we'll just start on this sort of summary report that I've put together of sort of everything from beginning to end, quickly through what exactly happened and the sequence of events that led us to where we are now. I think we'll skim through this thing and open up some sources off of it, some videos off of it. We'll pull in various other journalists and sources to watch. Yeah, nuclear taboo. That's a good word for it. Yeah, exactly. Because, man, there's just so much to cover, and it's easy for me to forget that maybe we haven't covered a lot of it because I've just been intaking it and I've been covering it in my own fucking brain. But a lot of you probably don't have time to cover all of that. And then, yeah, we'll probably get around to the Tucker stuff at the end, some of the more recent developments on X, some of the Bibi conspiracies. And all of that is not to mention the stuff that Candace is digging into and uncovering, all these other stories that are breaking, the Erica slop that happened the other day. We probably won't touch on that. That's kind of played out. But we'll see. We'll see what we get into. We'll see how much we can cover before Gigi gets too hungry and needs dinner. So, Operation Epstein Fury. We are going fucking broke. We are just pouring billions and billions of dollars into this, day by day by day. Estimates are all over the place. We're well over $11 billion by now. The global economic impacts are kind of incalculable at this point. There's a lot of people with opinions about just how bad it's going to be, but it's going to lag. And we have not even begun to feel the pain from the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz yet. We'll get into all that. But the big thing that was probably not accounted for that seems to have been, aside from the Strait of Hormuz and a million other things that seem to have not been accounted for in the whole buildup here, in the rapid strike, in the Israeli pressured initiation of this fucking thing, is Iran has a lot of fucking missiles. Iran has entire underground cities filled with missiles. They have a massive Shahed drone program developing these sort of like lightweight, cheap Shahed drones that are these like explosive dive bombing drones that you can see mocked up next to a person here, that they've just got basically an unlimited number of because they're producing them underground, hundreds and hundreds a day, as far as I'm aware. It's kind of hard to tell. We don't really know how much they're producing. They've also got a whole arsenal of old missiles that they've mostly expended, and then all sorts of new missiles that they're also continually producing more of, although not nearly as fast as the drones. And these new missiles are fucking monsters. I'm sure you've seen the footage. We'll watch plenty of it today. But just for a sense of scale of how fucking big these things are that are slamming into Tel Aviv right now with a person next door. And it's been known that Iran has these underground missile cities, that they have all this underground infrastructure that they've been building out for decades now. But I don't feel confident that the U.S. fully appreciated the scale of the underground infrastructure and the military arsenal that Iran has accumulated. And the most important sort of like complexity to understand here that I've been trying to wrap my head around this entire time I've been learning about it all is the asymmetric nature of this conflict and how asymmetric warfare actually works. And I mean, any student of American military history understands asymmetric warfare, because literally every war that we have fought since World War II has been asymmetric warfare, where we've gotten our asses handed to us in a long, slow burn against a bunch of tribesmen in whatever fucking third world country we're fighting in, because our military is fundamentally not designed to fight these wars. Our military is fundamentally designed to build gigantic, flashy, expensive fucking toys that will make an insane profit for the military-industrial complex, because we have this infinite money button where we just print the world reserve currency. And they all are just so goddamn greedy that they have developed a military infrastructure and pipeline that is all about making money for them. And what makes the most money for them, for the military-industrial complex, is building the most expensive fucking toys imaginable that are really cool, obviously. Like, they're, wow, so impressive. But when you actually use them in a combat situation against, like, the Taliban or the Viet Cong or Iran, they actually do not work. They don't win wars. And we're learning that very quickly right about now, because it turns out that when you have a limited supply of interceptors, and those interceptors cost you millions of dollars per pop, and they all depend on this incredibly expensive radar system of early detection that costs billions of dollars per radar system, and you're fighting an enemy that can produce basically unlimited cheap-ass drones that just dive bomb you, you actually have no defense, because what Iran did is they used up a bunch of our stockpiles just firing their old shit and firing all these cheap-ass drones, and we started running out of defensive missiles, and they started getting through and blowing up the radar systems that give the early warning detection. Once the radars started getting hit, all of our missiles started getting less and less effective. We started having to use more and more of them in order to intercept any given incoming. And so everything started to get worse and worse and worse. We started to watch the U.S. pull defensive infrastructure away from the Gulf states to try to defend Israel. All that got blown up. And then they started fucking stripping the defensive infrastructure away from the Pacific theater, like out of Taiwan and South Korea, taking THAAD missile systems away from South Korea and bringing them into the Middle East. And now we have reporting that the new shit that got brought in, who would have guessed it, has probably now gotten hit and destroyed, costing billions more dollars and completely neutering the entire American missile defense system. Bernie 54 is in the chat promoting the standard propaganda line for anyone that doesn't use their fucking cortex. Where'd you go, Bernie? Ian, Iran is on their knees and China and Russia have left him hanging. Bernie, I hope you're joking. Because, oh boy, is that not what's happening at all. Iran is so fucking ready for what's going on right now, and they have been preparing for this fight for decades. And they are just waiting for us to go boots on the ground, because they've already won the war as it stands. Trump is literally trying to have backdoor secret negotiations with Russia right now to try to get Russia to broker a peace deal, because Israel and America are fucked, and we both want a way out of this secretly, but can't back off and declare defeat because Trump obviously can't. And so they're trying to like secretly maneuver peace deals. And Iran's like, fuck no, we're fighting, bitch. Get back up and get in the ring. And so the issue with the U.S. trying to pull out right now is that we can pull out. We could leave. Trump could leave at any time. He could pull all the shit out and declare some fake-ass victory and be like, haha, we bombed them so much victory, though we didn't achieve any of our goals. Except that Israel can't. Israel is within range, and they are going to continue to get pummeled every single day until Iran is satisfied with the pummeling. And Iran is deeply prepared for the pummeling that they're receiving. They've been through it before. They'll be through it again. They're fucking ready to go. They clearly are not scared. Like literally, the Ayatollah that we killed on day one just hung out. He just hung out outside. He's like, come kill me. I dare you. I will be a martyr. We killed him. We made a martyr. And on day one, we ensured that none of our objectives will be achieved. There will be no regime change because we just martyred their religious leader. And we galvanized support for Iran all across the Muslim world. We galvanized support for the Iranian regime inside of Iran. And we replaced a far more moderate Khamenei with a far more fucking hardliner Khamenei who had, 5 more reasons to hate America by us killing, his like wife and daughter and sister and father all in one shot or something like that. So, yeah, they're almost certainly developing a nuke now. Who knows when they'll have it? They're almost certainly not going to fucking surrender. They're definitely not going to surrender. And they've got Israel by the balls. And we aren't entirely clear on how much of Israel's leadership, how much of Israel's esteemed moral leadership has been eliminated at this point. So, as for the nuclear program, I just want to remind all of us of the original assessment of the American intelligence community.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2000.
I can't make it louder.
The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons.
So, that's where she said that the intelligence community has been assessing that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon and that Khamenei has not reauthorized the nuclear weapons program. And then also, a just quick reminder that the White House literally put out a deceptively edited version of her testimony where they cut out the part where she said that they're not building a nuke, and then they sandwiched 2 other parts together and made it sound like she said they were building a nuke, despite that being exactly what she did not say.
In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile.
So that's where they put their cut in, when they cut to his face. And no, ironically, actually, the guy that we martyred was the one saying no nuclear weapons. It's against our religion to get nuclear weapons. Bad idea. We fucking killed him. And now we've got an Iranian regime that is far more pro-nukes because of what we did. So, there's a couple of different zones in Iran that are relevant to different parts of this conflict. There are nuclear facilities all grouped up deep in the mountains. We've heard a lot about Fordow. That was where we dropped all the bunker busters. But they have a whole bunch of underground nuclear facilities up in the mountains there. And, I assume that we know about all of their nuclear facilities. I assume. But I don't really know. There's also the Strait of Hormuz down here, where there's both the Bandar Abbas naval base and there's the Hajiabad missile base down there. And we'll talk about that. And then obviously there's Karg Island, which got a lot of press this last week that we'll talk about as well. Big for the oil infrastructure. Probably going to be a site of combat in the near future. There's obviously the network of Iranian proxies that Laura Loomer can't stop screeching about. And the big one right now is Hezbollah in Lebanon. Their proxy network has been greatly deteriorated, but Hezbollah is wreaking fucking havoc on Israel in Lebanon. And we have yet to see the Houthis join the fight, and they have every ability to close down the fucking entrance to the Red Sea and fuck global trade up even more. So I expect that we will be hearing about the Houthis in short order. Obviously, we've all seen the clips of Bibi Netanyahu advocating for war with Iran since like before I was born. Every fucking year, he comes to America and tells us that we need to go to war with Iran. Finally gets it. Now his country's getting fucking bombarded and they're whining, and America is asking everyone to please come and help, and no one wants to come and help. We tried to get like 3 different insurgent groups to help us go boots on the ground in Iran, and they all said, fuck no, bro. That's a true story. If you don't know, let me just get our conflict map out here and clear it up a little bit. So Trump, or I guess the U.S. military, was the CIA, whoever, was trying to mobilize rebel groups up in the Azerbaijan region to come down into Iran to strike them. They weren't about it. They were trying to mobilize like forces up in northern Iraq and Turkey and stuff to come in. They were like, fucking nope. There's no one wants to go into Iran. No one wants to go into Iran. Not even the locals want to go into Iran, let alone the U.S. troops. And we're starting to get mixed reporting about U.S. troops, not so much defecting as just not trying to be about it. It's kind of hard to read into some of that. We'll get into that more in coming days. But we spent a whole bunch of our missile supply already in the 12-day war. And it's classified exactly how many missiles we have, because if we told everybody, it wouldn't look good. We'd be fucked. But journalists have been tracking how many missiles America has bought, how many missiles America produces each year, how many we've spent in previous conflicts, and it's not looking good. It's looking like we're down to basically no more defensive missiles. That's like our Patriots, that's our THAAD missile batteries. It's not looking good. I want to remind us all that we were in fucking peace talks with Iran. We were in de-escalatory peace talks with Iran. We were days away from a fucking deal, and Iran was ready to agree. They had already agreed to zero stockpiling, zero enrichment accumulation, and full verification. They announced a breakthrough on CBS on February 27th, and then Israel drug us into war less than 2 days later. So that, it's easy to forget how it all started. But let's be real. The goal was never just a disarmed Iran. It was not the nuclear program. It wasn't even Israel's safety. The goal was Israel's hegemony. Israel taking over the region. Israel rising as the new global superpower. That is their goal right now. They are openly discussing it. And for that to happen, they have to destroy Iran. They have to drop it into complete chaos so that they can manage that chaos the way that Mossad does, just like all the other countries in the Middle East that we've destroyed for them. Marco Rubio fully admitted early on that we were drugged into this war by Israel. Then they tried to backpedal and say he didn't mean what he said. We all watched him say what he said. We were all there. And now that we're actually in it, Pete Hegseth, the dancing monkey, the dancing drunk monkey, is having to constantly go out and sort of invent fancy war stories with big words that sound very strong about how we've totally obliterated Iran's military, about how the Strait of Hormuz is actually already reopened, except for the part where ships can't go through it.
Secretary Pete Hegseth and
the American people do too. And that makes my job simple. I serve God, the troops, the country, the Constitution, and the President of the United States, and answer only to those, all in service of victory on the battlefield and the military objectives that we've laid out from day one. Defeat the missiles, missile launchers, and defense industrial base, which I laid out today.
We're going to talk about the missiles, missile launchers, and defense industrial base here.
Defeat the Navy and deny Iran the ability to have a nuclear weapon.
Defeat the Navy, open the Strait of Hormuz, I would presume, and deny them the ability to have a nuclear weapon.
Clear, decisive, achievable.
Achievable. Still waiting on that achievement, Pete. Oh, that's the same one.
Cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually.
This whole thing is really ironic, with Bibi possibly being hurt or killed, putting out a bunch of weird AI video content that we're going to watch. Them trying to cover up that possibly Itamar Ben-Gvir might be dead too. Possibly the head of Mossad is dead, I think. They're censoring everyone that films any of the strikes in Israel. They're locking them up in jail because they don't want anyone to know how damaged Israel is, how much fucking beating Israel is taking. Because that's really going to help. That's going to work. No one's going to notice. How are they even going to notice? And while he's claiming that the Iranian leadership is fucking hiding like rats in a hole, literally the president of Iran was walking through the streets that day, trolling him, hanging out with his citizens in the downtown streets of Tehran, just taking selfies with people. Jimmy Dore did a really funny take on it.
But there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity.
Putting down CIA ops to try to overthrow his government, understandable, bro. It's understandable. If only we did that when Israel infiltrated and subverted our government. Man, we should really take a page out of the Iranian book and not let foreign governments infiltrate and destroy our nation from within. That would be so refreshing.
Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge? Iran may not even know.
Actually, that's ironically backwards, because Iran's military leadership carefully studied all of the other similar conflicts in history. And they had this famous general that I forget his name. Scott Ritter was going over this a few times, where they realized that what failed in so many of these other states, like Iraq, for example, is that they had centralized military structures. And then when they go to war with the U.S. and their military leadership gets taken out by the precision strikes that we can do, then they have no direction for their military. And so what he did to the Iranian military is he decentralized it on purpose. And he split it from one centralized structure. And over years, they carefully restructured their military to be decentralized to 31 different states. And so when we did our decapitation strikes, for a while there, they went onto autopilot of like, no problem, we know what to fucking do. Launch missiles. I'm in charge of my own fucking county. And I've got my own military, my own infrastructure, my own missiles, my own directives. And they all had their own orders. And they literally all just went on autopilot because they didn't need a centralized command structure. And that's why, as soon as the decapitation strike hit, Iran was like, whatever, cool. And they started firing back. And they've been firing back ever since. I presume that they sort of have re-centralized to a certain degree their military structure, but I don't know. But they are actively and obviously executing a very clear battle strategy. And it hasn't changed since day one. Ostracize the relationship between America and the Gulf states, which is basically broken beyond repair because we've broken all of our promises to our buddies like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They don't want us fucking back because we just let them all get hit. We're not protecting them. But at the same time, Iran is only striking almost entirely, for the most part, only striking infrastructure that is military for the US, military for Israel, or that's being used to support military. And they're very actively communicating to the Gulf states, do not let them use your stuff as military or we will strike it, and we will only try to strike military targets. And when, for example, the US is staging in a port, then Iran is communicating, fucking evacuate that port because we're going to hit it because that's a military target now. And they're purposely waiting for the U.S. to escalate and hit a water desalination plant, and then they're striking back and saying, hey, your guys' water is way more at risk than ours. Fuck right off. They waited until the U.S. and Israel hit their oil infrastructure, and then they went, hey, guys, your oil infrastructure is way more at risk than ours. Because that is the uncomfortable truth in this conflict, is that sure, Iran is vulnerable. Sure, Iran can be bombed. Yes, Iran has weak points. But the allied oil and water infrastructure in the Gulf is wide the fuck open. And at any moment, on any day, Iran could just send a volley of drones at the Saudi oil infrastructure, at the Qatari natural gas infrastructure, and they could destroy the world economy for a decade to come. Because all of those pipelines and oil facilities, they're all just sitting there. And for the entire history of the Middle East in the modern form, their security has been guaranteed by America saying, hey, we have all of our defensive industry here. We'll put military bases here. We'll keep it safe. You guys invest billions of dollars into your oil infrastructure, and we'll make sure no one fucks with it. And then the moment that we go to war with Iran and they start firing their missiles at us, it becomes very obvious that we cannot defend any of it. We can't fucking stop any of it. Because they got through and destroyed all of our radar systems, destroyed all of our, literally hit all of our military bases, and we have now evacuated all of them. They're hitting the ports. They're hitting the hotels where our troops are fucking stationed. And they're also hitting the oil infrastructure if and when they want to. Whoopsie daisies. And it is just like right there under the surface, obvious as hell to anyone watching, that if Iran wanted to, they could just drop a fucking bomb, so to speak, on this giant I can't pronounce none of this shit, pipeline infrastructure that is one of the most significant oil facilities on the planet. One volley of drones right there, we're fucked. Send a volley of drones right there, we're fucked. It's just all there. Same with the desalination plants. You hit these desalination plants, entire nations of people will die of thirst. There's nowhere to put them. There's no water to give them. And so Iran actually kind of holds all the cards. Because the only plan that we have shown so far is dropping more bombs. And the only thing that dropping bombs does is kill a whole bunch of civilians. Maybe takes out some military personnel. They've got more. Every single bomb just recruits more. It's already decentralized. And so everything that we have planned, everything that we can do, just strengthens their position. It just strengthens their resolve, basically. Like, we can hit some of their military infrastructure, but they're being very careful to take out our drones and to launch and then retreat into their tunnels, because they have a carefully established structure where they can launch from tunnels and then retreat inside and be safe from our bombing. In the meantime, all of our shit is just wide open. And we are thoroughly overextended off onto the other side of the planet where we have to go refuel over there. We have to send tankers over there. We have to send fucking aircraft carriers over there. We have to put our boats over there in harm's way. We have to put our people somewhere in some bases over there, and all the bases are now getting hit. We're fucked. We're like wide open. And Iran's just taking pot shots now because now all of our defensive infrastructure is taken out. Israel's over there sitting ducks, getting bombed to oblivion. Cluster missiles falling on them every night now. And we basically have resorted to just trying to censor all the damage. It sure as hell looks like they're trying to censor the actual number of U.S. casualties because it's probably higher than 12 or whatever they're reporting. They're obviously not going to be able to keep that quiet for forever. It's very hard to keep U.S. military deaths under the wraps. But at the same time, I highly doubt that we've heard about all of them so far. That's not to mention the Israeli casualties, the Israeli censorship. And so the only developments that we are kind of catching word of behind the scenes is now without any congressional authorization, without asking the American people, without making the case for this war at all, Trump is now throwing around the idea of boots on the ground. We'll have to look at the reporting of the numbers because I forget if it's like 2,500 boots. It's not 25,000. I'm pretty sure it was 2,500. We'll see. I forget. 5,000. I forget. And it's let's just remind ourselves, I'm no expert on whether or not that's a good idea. Sure doesn't sound like one. All the military experts that I'm listening to, all the independent voices that have, a long career of combat experience behind them, all of the independent journalists that cover conflict for a living, all of them seem to think that it's a fucking suicide mission to try to go and take the Strait of Hormuz by force with ground troops. Or even to try to take Karg Island, which is probably their weakest point. We'll talk about Karg more in a second. Even that sounds a little bit like a fucking suicide mission. But that's like our only option now, is exactly what we were told wouldn't happen, is to send a small contingent of American men directly into harm's way on a potential suicide mission. That, or to try to recapture the Strait of Hormuz through a naval operation or something, which is like a whole other fucking can of worms. And so then in the background, we're also getting word that Trump is secretly facilitating diplomatic talks with Russia to try to get Russia to pressure Iran into accepting a peace deal, which Iran doesn't want. Iran has no interest in a peace deal right now because they are completely on the upper foot and they're never going to get this opportunity again. And they have every ability right now to destroy Israel, or at least to take Israel to the brink. It ain't looking good. In fact, it's looking distinctly horrible. It's looking like Trump will not be able to finish off his term at this rate. And hopefully it's not worse than that. Hopefully it doesn't get worse than that. But let me go back to our report here and get into some of the newer stuff. Oh, this is annoying. It pulled trash-ass clips. Fucking retard. I got to program my report scraper script that grabs clips to do better. But I got a bunch of clips mounted up too, so don't worry. Yeah, we can skip the official claims, all the bullshit these boys are spitting. Hegseth, they're toast. Trump, we've won. In the first hour, it was over. Does it feel like winning yet, boys? Yeah. Hegseth said that we've completely destroyed their military capacity, despite the fact that we continue to get pummeled by their military capacity. He said that this Strait of Iran is open, except for if Iran were to shoot missiles at the boats, which is like, duh, bitch. That's exactly how it's not open right now. Right? AI Netanyahu said stronger than ever. We're stronger than fucking ever. So, we're in this war of attrition. $20,000 to $50,000 drones up against multi-million-dollar interceptor missiles that are running out. It's not really clear if we have any left. The bases. I want to pull up Bro's video about the bases, but first, let's take a look. Here's a chart of all of our military bases that have been damaged. Bases in Qatar, Jordan, 2 bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Kuwait, Iraq. Major damage to several of them. Some of them more like destroyed. THAAD radar systems. Radar bases housing key U.S. missile interceptor hit in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Satellite images show the there's a bunch of open source satellite imagery websites that journalists were using. Hey, what up, Stacy? Thanks for gifting all those subs. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the party. A bunch of journalists have been using these open source satellite imagery systems to compare before and after images of the bases to confirm what is and is not hit, what has and has not been destroyed. And it actually got so bad that the U.S. government forced that website to stop publishing their shit. They forced the open source satellite imagery website to put a delay of like 8 or 9 days or something, I forget, on all their imagery, which is basically saying stop publishing your imagery until we can verify it and fucking let you show it, you know? And that imagery is not looking good. Let me swap over here to Bro's video. Bro put together an incredible video. I've been really digging Richard Medhurst's reporting. We won't have time to watch the whole thing, I don't think. But highly recommend watching Medhurst if you don't know who Richard Medhurst is. He's been doing great independent reporting. He's from the UK.
Military blows ever. And I know that sounds a bit cheeky, but once I've presented the facts to you and we've gone through the report and I give you the analysis, I think you'll share my opinion. And I think you'll share the opinion of other analysts as well in seeing how devastating this is. Okay. So you have to understand that the way the Iron Dome works, the early warning system, the radar that Israelis and the United States rely on, it's not in Israel. Okay. They make you think that the whole Iron Dome system and Arrow and David Sling is all based inside of Palestine. It's not. The front line of that system, of that umbrella, begins in the Khalij or the Persian Gulf where the Arab kingdoms are. Okay, this is the front line. It's right there. And it makes sense because they've placed them directly right opposite Iran. Yeah, so it's not very subtle. Okay, so you remember the very first day I showed you that video of this radome, this thing that looks like a massive golf ball in the NSA base in Bahrain where the 5th Fleet stationed out of, being blown up. Okay, now that is very.
By the way, that base where the 5th Fleet was stationed out of has been repeatedly fucking pummeled day after day after day.
Significant because it basically permits the Americans to talk to their ships.
Fucking lot of love for Richard in the comments.
It's a communications hub that allows the ships, the vessels that are in the water to talk to the 5th Fleet headquarters in Manama in Bahrain and also to talk to the Pentagon in Washington. Okay? So that's very, very, very significant. And I'll show you on the map here. And again, I've gone and done all of this myself manually. That's why I haven't been broadcasting during the last days. I've been suffering doing this stuff. But these are the GSC 52B SATCOM terms.
That's why this video is so valuable, because he actually compiled all of the different satellite imagery comparisons so that you could see for yourself the actual compare and contrast before and afters of all of it without having to just trust CNN or, some other bullshit.
Terminals that were taken out. Okay. So just take a look at that, right? You see, you can already tell it's an American base because there's a baseball field on there. But anyway, you see the two radomes over there? Okay. So that's what they used to look like, and that's what they look like now. Right?
Yeah.
That's what
not to mention this entire fucking hangar
they look like
here.
Now.
All of that obliterated.
So you can see they're just those black those black giant craters. Okay.
That's billions of dollars of repair costs and years to rebuild. And it might never even happen.
Okay, they're completely gone. And also the warehouse here on the left is completely decimated. But yeah, you know, believe me, it was not easy getting all these photos, like searching through the base the whole time. And it's just one. This is not even the most important part. It's not even the most important part. The real blow to the THAAD system and the Patriot system is in Qatar, first of all. Okay, this here, the ANFPS 132, we'll just say 132 for short, costs $1 billion. This thing costs $1 billion. It is so massive, it's going to take 8 years to rebuild this. And people say it's in Al Udeid Air Base. It's actually just north of it, okay? So here, look at the map, okay? That's where the airbase is, and this is where the site...
And Al Udeid has been fucked up pretty heavily as well.
It is, of this radar that costs $1 billion, okay? It's got a giant, massive hole in it. It costs $1 billion, and it's going to take another 8 years to build. It's 40 feet tall. It's very, 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 very big. It's absolutely massive. And there's only 6 of these on the planet. This was the only one in the Middle East. It's the only one. And it had the...
Not anymore, it's not.
The largest range, right, out of all of the radar systems that the United States has. And you have to think how embarrassing this is that you have a $50,000 drone, right, like a Shahed 136. Well, let's say a swarm. Like let's imagine you send 100 of them, right, like till you actually hit this. Even if you send 100 or 200, it's still way more cost effective. Like you compare, you know, $50,000 times 100 to this thing that costs $1 billion and takes 8 years to build. By the way,
that's like thousands X of value that they just destroyed.
You're still screwed, even if you had the money and a time machine. Why?
That's right, CL. How does the US even benefit from all this? We fucking don't. We don't. Not in the slightest. We're going to get insane inflation, a global recession, a bunch of dead American troops, probably a whole lot more blowback down the line when the global Islamic world rallies around hating us more. All of our alliances in the Gulf fucked. All of our oil relationships in the Gulf fucked. Israel, on the other hand, had it all gone the way they imagined, well, they have this whole plan for their, you know, global Israel project where they're going to be the center of everything. The problem is it's hard to be the center of everything when you're getting bombed into fucking oblivion and you have no defenses and you just have to kvetch about how your allies have to come and save you because you can't actually take care of yourself and finish the wars that you fucking start.
Because you still need the raw materials, these rare earth minerals, from China. China has the overwhelming majority of them. So, you know, Iran could phone up the Chinese and say, put the squeeze on them.
And we'll get to China, because China has barely even lifted a finger yet, but they're playing a major role in this whole conflict, and they're gaining a massive future military advantage over the United States as they watch our entire modern war plan play out in full HD through their new satellite system. China is getting all the data they could ever need to understand every single thing about the American military they ever needed to know. And they're counting how many missiles we fucking spend. They're counting how many different pieces of technology get destroyed. They're counting on how all of our shit is working and how we are acting. They're taking notes. They're feeding it to their big-ass AI models that they stole from us. And they're just sitting there and sitting back and waiting. And at any minute, China and or Russia could enter the fray and back Iran more because Iran is extremely strategically important to them for their oil needs, among other reasons. And were that to happen, holy fuck, would the calculus change.
You're never building this again. Good luck. I mean, I can't overstate how screwed up this is for the Americans, right? Like, if I were them, I would genuinely be crying. So that's one in Qatar. Now, if you look at Jordan, UAE, and Saudi, okay, they have the other smaller radars that cost about like 300, 500 million each, okay? And those were also the only ones in the Middle East. Although, allow me to preface that by saying there's one more left in the negative. One more. But those are the main THAAD radars, and they're all destroyed now. All of them. Okay? So I also mapped those out for you as well. Let's go to the, let's start with UAE, for example, okay? So let's go to Ruwais base, okay? And, yeah, so look, this is how it used to look before, okay? That's how it is on Google Maps. And then if I overlay, you can see the black charred spots. Now, it's true that there's less shadow, right? Don't mistake the two. But that is definitely destroyed. That black mark
giant hole in the roof
over there, it's cooked, okay? That's definitely cooked. And there's another one over here, okay? That's definitely gone. That's just gone, okay? That's the TP2, right? We just the one we looked at in Qatar was the 132. This one is smaller, less expensive, and it's called the TP2. So this is Ruwais base in UAE. Now, not too far away, you've got El Sadr base, okay, and it has an identical radar system, right, TP2, and that one also got smoked. Okay, so I'll just show you how it used to be and how it is afterwards. You can see
Giant
down here
hole in the roof.
these black spots on the structure. Again, they're separate from the shadow of the sun, right? You can definitely tell them apart, right? That one is definitely a strike. That one's definitely a strike, and you know it's just cooked. It's completely cooked. Gone. Right now, if we look at Jordan, for example, right? In Jordan, we've got the Salty Air Base, and that one was also cooked, right? I think the image has gone out of where I placed it earlier, but you know, just leaving the rest aside, you can kind of see it's completely charred
Fucking
and destroyed.
cooked.
Again, I forgot where I placed this image. I think Google Maps is tripping a bit, but this one is 100%, 100% from Jordan, from this specific base, and that is cooked. That is gone, right?
Huge respect, huge fucking respect to Richard for doing the legwork, not just to read the story, not to just kind of quickly confirm it for himself before reporting on it, but to actually build the assets to visually prove it and show it and share it with all of us. Incredibly valuable. If you don't already follow Richard Medhurst, drop him a follow on YouTube. That's Richard Medhurst right there. Let's get this bro over 400,000 followers. He's fucking killing the game, doing incredible work for everybody.
Completely smoked. And then if we look at Saudi Arabia, right, there's another TP2 radar there in Prince Sultan Air Base, also completely cooked. It's even on fire in the satellite photo, right? So that's how it used to be, and you can just see the smoke bellowing out of it, okay? Cooked. And these were the only ones in the Middle East. There's just one left in the Negev. One left. This is why the Israelis...
And the Negev is in Israel, if you didn't know. And so that means that, like, the whole point is to have them forwards so they can detect the missiles as they're incoming. And so the last one left, I don't even know if it's still left or not, is all the way back in Israel. And that's why Israel stopped getting advance warning. They stopped getting their sirens and their alerts that missiles were coming and having advance warning to get to their bomb shelters. And now they're just getting rained down on with no warning. And now Israel is just getting lit up because now the interceptors can't intercept them. And the people don't have advance warning like they're used to.
Have no more early warning, you know, in terms of strikes. They don't get them from Gaza and Lebanon, by the way. Like when Hezbollah or Hamas fire something at the Israelis, first of all, they're not ballistic missiles usually, and you know, the distance is so short that there simply isn't enough time to give them a head start the way there is or used to be with these, right? These things, you would get like maybe 5 minutes, a little bit more. Right now, it's like down to 1 minute. And it's not me saying this, okay? It's not me saying this. I'll show you. Give me 1 second. I'll show you what the Israelis just smoked. It's pounding every single one of these bases over and over and over. It's like, you know, sometimes in a movie, you see someone who's like taking a beating that is just, it's so over the top. It's like, dude, the guy's dead already. Just please stop it. It's like, it's inhumane at this point. Yeah. That's what Iran is doing. I'm not kidding. Like they damaged, right? These things, I say damaged because they devastated. A few days ago, they have spent the last couple of days pulverizing and grinding them to dust. Do you understand? Like they're trying to make a point. They're really trying to make a point, and that's why they keep hitting the same bases over and over and over and over again. It's just that they are grinding them to dust.
And these are bases that the U.S. spent decades building, fortifying, techifying, radarifying, and they're all done. They're all done. Like they've been evacuated, they've been pulverized, they're wide open. They're not getting rebuilt anytime soon. The only way they get rebuilt is if we somehow win this war and then somehow repair our relationships with all these fucking Gulf states that hate us now.
Specifically these systems, right? They're making a point. Like, you're not getting up, right? Stay down. That's the point they're trying to make. Anyway, here's the base in Kuwait, right? After I mean, dude, look at how many things blown up, okay? Here's the first one that I overlaid, right? Look at that. Completely, utterly destroyed. You see that? Gone. Here's another one. Over here, right? Look at that. Okay, here's another one.
And all of this is just what has been able to be pieced together from independent assessment of the satellite imagery. And this was 5 days ago. All of this video was produced 5 fucking days ago. Okay? So 5 days ago is when the balance started to tip. And as these radars all got destroyed, all the missiles started getting through more and more and more. It's getting way worse. Way worse. So, let me just go back to our report. I mapped them out. Red dots are bases that are severely damaged. You could even say destroyed. Yellow bases are suspected to have been hit, maybe minor damage. Orange bases have confirmed hits on them. Our entire Gulf region infrastructure, not doing great. All of our THAAD missile defense systems have been hit. They brought in more. Those got hit too. Destroyed, reportedly hit, destroyed. So that's several $1 billion of radar equipment alone that has just been poofed, completely vanished. Let's see if this link, that's not a great video. We'll probably source our videos from the conflict map. Little bits of videos are coming out of Israel day by day. But they're clearly trying to hide the big stuff. We'll look at some of the big stuff later. All that's not to mention Lebanon, the front in Lebanon, where Israel and Hezbollah are going at it in a ground war. Missiles and ground forces. Israel's being forced to fight people that actually have guns. And it doesn't sound like it's going too good. But, leave it to them to drop more bombs. We don't know the number of Israelis killed. Theoretically, we're at 13 Americans killed in action. I highly suspect it's more than that because Iran started striking all of the luxury hotels where the U.S. troops fled from the bases to go hide out. Doesn't sound like their OPSEC is all that good. Hard to tell. We had the whole incident with the girls' school where 165 children were killed on day fucking 1 by an American Tomahawk missile that became a whole scandal where Trump was trying to pretend like other countries have fucking Tomahawk missiles because he's retarded. They all started throwing each other under the bus. Our own military confirmed that our military hit this girls' school. And we had shills like Paramount Tactical and fucking Matt Retardio just like trying their fucking hardest to pretend like it wasn't our missile that hit the girls' school that was hit during our first wave strike before Iran had launched anything. Trying to pretend like Laura Loomer posting propaganda, trying to pretend like Iran had bombed their own girls' school. Obviously not. So on day 1, we hand them a martyr, an 80-something-year-old martyr that intentionally let himself get martyred and drew their whole nation together. And then we bombed a girls' school and gave them the best piece of propaganda they could ever need. Look at these horrible fucking Western terrorists that kill little girls. Right? That was how we started. The Strait of Hormuz is sort of the sleeping giant here, the clock that just keeps ticking. Because as Iran declared that they were going to fire on any tankers that go through the Strait of Hormuz, the insurance company stopped insuring boats passing through the Strait of Hormuz. And so suddenly, the economics of it don't make any fucking sense when you're going to get blown up and burned to hell if you go through, and your shit's not going to be insured, so no one's going through the Strait of Hormuz. Oil's totally shut down, except if you're Iran's buddies. And then they started trolling Trump, and they were like, okay, we'll open the Strait of Hormuz if you will transact your oil in yuan, which really gives the game away, because that is the game, the petrodollar. Oil being transacted in dollars is what holds the whole global hegemony up. And there's a strong argument to be made that that's probably a big part of why we're going to war with Iran and why we went after Venezuela. Ain't working out too good. Holy shit. I haven't actually seen this table compiled yet. The comparison between the Arab oil embargo, the Iranian Revolution, and the Gulf Wars, oil supply effects in millions of barrels a day, the price spike that we're going to see because of it. Look at the price spikes that we saw from these past embargoes, these past crises, up to almost 300% in the past. But that was from 4.3 million barrels a day being at risk. Right now, we're at about 20 million barrels a day at risk. All because of this little Strait of Hormuz being closed and nothing getting through. So we went and bombed Karg Island. I didn't know shit about Karg Island before we bombed them, basically, as I'm sure most Americans are. People that are informed, the experienced war reporters, people that know the Middle East, they all know. And I've been watching a lot of their coverage to get caught up on Karg Island. Karg Island is this tiny little island off the coast of Iran, up far north of the Strait of Hormuz. And it's where they basically store all of their oil in just this massive tank infrastructure. They bring all their oil out from the mainland onto this island, and that's where they load it all onto their tankers to take it all out through the strait. And when Trump bombed it, he said that he bombed only their military assets on that island, not the oil infrastructure, which is kind of weird at first take, but then it gives the game away a little bit because he is aware that we are fucking the entire world over with this conflict because everyone's fucking prices are screwed now. Because it's not just the oil, it's also the fertilizer that grows the food that's not getting through the strait, because all the fertilizer that we use in all of our industrial agriculture, because we're all retarded, we don't know about regenerative agriculture, all of that relies on fertilizer that largely comes from the petroleum products that come through the Strait of Hormuz. And so between the urea and the oil that's not getting through the Strait of Hormuz right now, the entire world is looking at a global recession and a global food shortage on the way. And we're already at like the point of no return on that. And so if he were to bomb Karg Island's oil infrastructure, even though it's Iran's oil, that would actually put such a shock on the global oil markets because there's no other oil flowing, that would fuck the economy up even more. So for now, Karg Island's oil infrastructure is theoretically intact. There's a lot of speculation about whether the American boots on the ground are going to go after Karg Island or go after the Strait of Hormuz somehow and try to take the coast of the Strait of Hormuz and hold it so that we can get boats through, or what's going to go on there. Let's jump into some of the live stories here. We'll get to Bibi in a minute. Let's watch some footage of Israeli shit getting bombed, of some of the because let's be clear. We're pummeling Iran. Iran is getting fucking bombed like crazy. Although it sounds like we're not bombing them as much as we were, a week ago, but it's kind of hard to say. We're pummeling them. But it's all kind of just like, no, that doesn't change anything. And the censorship on our end is over Iran striking us. That's what's being censored. And so that's what I'm far more interested in, especially in Iran striking Israel, for obviously. Because let's just, address the elephant in the room real quick. It's really weird for your country that you love to be on the side of the most evil motherfuckers on the planet doing the dirty work for Israel, the world's global terror state, and to simultaneously want Americans to be safe and America's interests to be protected and America to come out of this better, but for that to be intrinsically tied to needing to decouple from Israel and have Israel be put in their place, which is probably nowhere at this point. Probably done. Israel, at the very least, needs to be disarmed and treated like Iran gets treated. They need all of their nukes taken away. They need all of their military capacity stripped. They need their intelligence capabilities taken away and never returned. Israel's the people that should be surveilled. Israel's the people that should be on a watch list. Israel's the people that should be disarmed. They're the ones starting all the wars. They're the ones doing all the blackmail and spying. They're the ones flooding the internet with bots and disinformation and propaganda and lies. And so it's a weird conundrum to be in a position where if we lose this conflict, I actually think, my current opinion, I think that we ultimately win if it's done in the right way, because Israel needs to lose. If Israel wins this conflict, the whole world is fucked. Completely fucked. But if Israel loses this conflict, it actually, I think, has real potential to usher in a new age, to do something very good and very important. I don't know if we're going to have a solution to this fucking light thing with the sun setting right now. Maybe what we'll try is we'll try that. We'll try that. And so I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure that I am not the only one out there that sees the poetic justice in Israel bombing children for the last 3 years on live TV and then whining when they fight a real enemy that can actually fight back and they can't take it. It's kind of like when an Israeli UFC fighter gets in the ring, gets his ass beat, and the whole world cheers. It's like that. It just feels good to see the bully get beat the fuck up. Sorry, Israelis. Don't be assholes. Don't start wars you can't win. But on a grander note, the most important step towards world peace, which I know we're never going to have real world peace, but the most important step towards a better world, a safer world, a more prosperous world, is the elimination of Israel's grip on the world. And Iran is exactly where they need to be to do that right now. Because the Lord fucking knows that America is not going to do shit about it, despite the fact that they have literally blackmailed our entire government, that they trafficked our own children to our own leaders in order to blackmail our own fucking government, that our entire government is cucked for Israel. The fact that Trump is taking phone calls from Laura fucking Loomer tells you all you need to know. Laura Loomer and Rabbi Shmuley are out here like fucking being assets for anything other than Satan? Right. So realistically, like, America's not, we're neutered. Our balls are snipped. We're not going to do shit to free the world from this cabal. Because at this point, our leadership's all in on it. And so, like, I would love for, you know, the people that are going to free the world of this fucking parasite to not be a bunch of crazy Islamists. I have no idea how crazy the Iranians actually are, because I think that almost everything we know about them is propaganda at this point. But hey, someone's got to do it. And Israel picked this fight themselves. This is footage of a strike of the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad. I think I saw a post, it might have been Candace posting, that this is the largest U.S. embassy in the world. There's a bunch of conflict kind of happening over Iraq right now, over these sorts of things. March 12th, a couple days ago. Patricia Marins continues to do some of the best fucking reporting there is out there on this right now. And her analysis has been on point every single day. Continually on point. Covering each developing item. Like, for example, the U.S. refueling aircrafts that I forgot to mention that mysteriously like had a crash into each other. They weren't hit, but they just crashed. And a bunch of airmen died. Tragically. I still don't know if that was a censored Iranian strike or if that was like literally they crashed. Stacy, you're a freaking legend. Thanks for gifting subs to all the homies. Cheers, Stacy. If you got a sub from Stacy, you say thanks out there. Stacy's the legend in here. Holding it down. Hey, Gigi, go lie down. We'll do dinner in a bit. In reading her reporting on Iran possessing drones with air-to-air missile capability, it reminded me that no one's really talking about Iran's underwater UAV capability, essentially like self-guided underwater missiles, just like little barracudas that can just hang out underwater and just chill and then go hit you. There's like so much not low tech, but like cheap tech capability that Iran has to just fuck everybody over that we just don't really have an answer to. It's like they have so many options other than just mining the Strait of Hormuz that I just don't see. I mean, I'm no expert, but I do not see any way that we are reopening that strait anytime soon. This is satellite imagery of the destruction of our military bases. This report is from 3 days ago now, that Iran had already shot down between 25 and 30 expensive U.S. and Israeli drones, estimated at nearly $1 billion. There's also all these questions about our aircraft carriers that Iran keeps saying that they hit, and then America's like, no, they didn't hit them. And we're not really sure where they are or what they're doing or if they were hit or not. But you get like little glimpses when weird articles like this happen. Like the USS Gerald R. Ford just spontaneously caught fire a couple days ago. Because, aircraft carriers just catch fire out there. Damn, Mom Donna just swooping in here, gifting subs like crazy. XB GB Jew, just dropping subs in here. We're getting the sub train going for the homies on Kick. Shout out to the sub gifters. Say thanks if you got one. The conversation around the idea of seizing the Iranian coastline is wild. It's crazy windy out there right now. I'm trying to check. This video, I'm pretty sure, is AI. I don't know about this video. I think this video is legitimate. I'm not entirely sure. It's really fucking hard to sort through which videos are which. This post from 2 days ago. The U.S. prepares 5,000 Marines for war. Thank you, chat. You guys were telling me it was 5,000. Straight up. Pete Hegseth has approved a request from U.S. CENTCOM for an element of amphibious ready group and an attached Marine expeditionary unit, typically consisting of several warships and 5,000 Marines, according to the Wall Street Journal. With this move, his objective appears to be an operation to seize Karg Island. There's little else he could realistically do with these forces. Some people are speculating that maybe he'll try to take the northern coast of the Strait of Hormuz. It would be an extremely bold operation to attempt to capture an island located just 25 kilometers off the Iranian coast. And the bigger question is, how would they hold that position? Another possibility is that the force is intended to secure enriched uranium in a far more complex operation that would not require amphibious ships. And the last and most likely alternative is that this deployment is simply meant to intimidate Iran. Yes, I don't think Iran is intimidated. A news anchor actually asked maybe the Iranian prime minister or president directly on air how they felt about America bringing boots on the ground. And Iran was like, we were fucking waiting for it. Bring it on, bro. Bring it the fuck on. Give it to us. And the news anchor was like super taken aback. I don't know if we have that clip loaded up or not. I am pretty sure that this video is legit. I keep on looking in the comments to see if there's any obvious debunks. And I've seen this video a lot of times, and I'm pretty sure that this video is legit. And it's fucking wild if it is. This one's a couple days old at this point.
Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're
So obviously it just cut to a different video.
coming down. One just about. We got to go inside.
נפילות אחי, נפילות של החיים בנבטים. נפילות בנבטים אחי. נפילות קשות בנבטים, שומע? וואו, 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 וואו. וואו! הכל נופל לנבטים.
So you start to get a sense of why Israel is trying to censor videos getting out, of why you're not allowed to film this shit. They'll send you to prison for filming and publishing these videos in Israel. Because it is not looking good. Remember how on day 1 and 2 and 3, the videos were full of interceptors all firing up, trying to intercept? And now it's just cluster rockets raining hellfire down on God's chosen people.
אני אומר לך, מתקפה אחת החזקות. אימא'לה, 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 זהו, למקלט. תבדעו.
And here's an important framing, at least I think it is. This is how I frame this in my mind, because it's true. It's hard to tell for sure what videos are real or not. I've been watching to see, because this is a compilation of videos, and I have watched almost all of the videos come through the feeds. I've got all of them feeding through, and I've been tabulating which ones are like, that one was AI, that one was AI, that one was fake. That one was an old recycled one. There's a bunch of them that I recognize that are like, I know that that one's not real. And I've not seen any of the ones that I know are not real in this compilation. But even if some of these aren't real, just think it through in your mind. That is what the Iranian cluster munitions do. That is what their rockets do, is they break up into up to 80 fucking warheads that come down simultaneously. And we know factually that the interceptor system, A, didn't work that well in the first place, actually, and on hypersonic missiles basically couldn't work. And now, B, the early warning system is destroyed. That interceptor system is completely neutered. It doesn't work. So even if, suppose all of those videos were fake, it is still an accurate representation of what those rockets will be doing when they come down on Israel. So unless the entire war is fake and Iran's not actually launching any of the missiles that they have, then this is what's happening. This is actually what is happening over there, okay? Regardless of whether one or two of the videos are fake or not. They can't intercept them. And each one is 80 fucking missiles. So do the math on how it's all going over there. And here's the thing. Like I said earlier, America can retreat. Israel cannot. Israel is just sitting ducks. And all they can do is kvetch about the war crimes. Oh my gosh, they're committing war crimes. They're using cluster munitions, which neither Iran nor Israel signed the treaty against use of cluster munitions, by the way. And watching Israel whine about war crimes is just so beautifully fucking ironic. Fuck you, Israel. Fuck you. We all watched you bomb children for 3 fucking years and then come after us for calling you out on it. Fuck you. Zero sympathy. Don't start fights you can't fucking win. Or fight like a man. Or like God's chosen people or whatever, you know? So we're just going to watch this part one more time.
Allah, you!
Remember, this country is the size of New Jersey, right? Tiny little David, the size of New Jersey. How long do you think they can hold out? This is a confirmed video of Iran's missile strike on one of Israel's oil and gas facilities. Multiple strikes. So this was after they struck Iran's oil facilities. They're like, fine, let's do it back. They're continually matching their escalation intentionally. So that they are just like, hey, you did it first, we'll do it back. We won't escalate unless you do, and you escalate, and then it's on, bitch. And so far, it seems to be working out pretty damn well for them. Here's a guy that was filming this destruction in Israel, and then he's getting hassled by a police officer or something. I don't know the validity of this poster or this post, but I know that this general fact is in some ways true. Iran has started launching strikes on specific addresses of Israeli leaders, ministers, commanders, pilots, and intelligence officers, targeted objectives, specific houses, precise strikes. They're getting fed crazy detailed intel from China. China has very advanced satellite and radar imagery and all sorts of fucking high-tech shit over there. And by all indications, China is feeding Iran a whole bunch of targeting data. Sweet Sassy, thank you. Thank you for the gifted subs. If you guys got a sub from Sweet Sassy Bell, be sure to say thanks for hooking it up. Being a homie. So, on to the Netanyahu conspiracy theories. Netanyahu was... one last base that got struck real quick is how we were moving new THAAD missile systems from around the world to move it into the Middle East. Unverified reports coming in indicating that the recently deployed THAAD system in Jordan that just got moved there, intended to replace the previously destroyed system, has now also been rendered inoperable. Satellite imagery corroborates these findings. That is a cost of $4 to $6 billion. Boom. Right? Whoopsies. You don't solve much when you just move a new target into the same target-rich environment where the last one got blown up handily. So, accidental delete. Okay, so now let's get into AI Benji. And let's talk this through. So, Benjamin Netanyahu, there was unconfirmed reports that his house was struck. We weren't really sure where he was. It was all very confusing what exactly got struck. Reporting that he was injured. He stopped appearing anywhere. Yair Netanyahu stopped posting, though Yair is a fucking incessant shitpost troll like Laura Loomer. That he's Benjamin Netanyahu's son who lives in Florida in a cushy fucking apartment. And he just could not, he just posts all day, every day, and then he just stops posting. This was right around the time when Scott Bessent got pulled out of his interview and then came back looking really fucking freaked out. Some people speculated that was the troops deployment stuff. Some people speculated it was maybe Benjamin Netanyahu's dead. No one knows. And then Benjamin Netanyahu failed to show up for the Israeli security briefing, which is a body that he normally leads. He would normally be there, and he wasn't there. That was yesterday. There was a video that came out where people were saying he had 6 fingers. I don't actually think it looked like he had 6 fingers. I think that the fingers thing was kind of a trick of the light. His teeth might have been appearing and disappearing in that video. It's kind of hard to say. A little undecided on whether I feel like that video was AI or not, whether it was a deep fake or not. But now, this video, today, 9:30 a.m., he posts this video like, haha, I'm in a coffee shop. I am so normal. Note that the video is exactly 60 seconds long. Just throwing that out there. Makes a joke about how many fingers he has. Everyone's examining the coffee cup and how full the coffee cup is here when he's picking it up and stuff, and how it never spills. It's like, lattes don't necessarily. They got the foam milk, but there is a thing. So is it AI? There's a cut where the video seems to be edited together. Is it AI? Peep the hand.
אנחנו עושים דברים שאני לא יכול לשתף ברגע זה, אבל עושים דברים מכים באיראן חזק מאוד גם ביום הזה, גם בלבנון, ממשיכים. אתם אומרים לי להמשיך?
I mean, first, let's just note that the entire fucking world is just praying that he's dead. That alone, we love it. Everyone in the fucking world just praying that this piece of shit is dead.
אני אומר לכולכם, גם אתם תמשיכו.
It certainly is strangely HD, but there's one little thing here.
וגם לראשי הערים, להיות תמיד ליד מרחב מוגן.
Right there. Do you see it? This pocket is a little weird. One more time in the original video from his original account. Watch the pocket.
וגם לראשי הערים, להיות תמיד ליד מרחב מוגן.
Pocket.
אנחנו נקל ככל שהדבר נראה.
Let's look at a slower breakdown here. See how when he's putting his hand in his pocket, the pocket slips up his hand? That is a classic AI artifact that happens with clothing. Maybe it's real, but I do not think so. Honestly, I do not think so. I think that is fucking fake. I don't know. Sue me. That's my opinion. I think that is fake. That is the exact type of clothing artifacting that AI tends to do. And that combined with kind of how crispy the rest of the video is, how the foam doesn't spill. I mean, the foam might not spill if it's a real cup, but like, I think when you add it all together, I suspect that might be AI. Just my opinion. Someone also noted, apparently, another eagle-eyed viewer catches that the date on the counter is February 15th, 2024. Oh, yeah, I guess it's right there. When I looked at this earlier, I didn't see where the date, I was like, maybe the date's in Hebrew. But yeah, that is 15. Oh, I mean, I think it's 2024. 03 or 02. I mean, no, this could be 1503 2026. I'm not sold on that. I'm not sold on that. But anyways. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he's not. Regardless, I think we all can agree that we can't wait for that to be true. And regardless, let's just one more time. So that's what Iran's military capability being completely decimated looks like. That's what total victory looks like. We beat them. Pete Hegseth said we win. We totally won. Look, that's what winning looks like. I hope Israel feels all the winning. Right? Right? So there's a lot of fucking implications here. A lot of really scary implications. A lot of very smart people would notice that Stacy is still fucking gifting subs in the chat like a gosh darn legend. All y'all say thanks if Stacy just gifted you a sub. Stacy holding it down out here. So let me pull up a smattering of YouTube that I've been keeping up on here lately. Been watching a bunch of just a ton of interviews with Scott Ritter. Danny Haipong has done a ton of great reporting with experts like Scott. And Scott has been dead on all along with what's been going on. He's been bringing breaking reporting from his sources on the inside. And he certainly does not see the path to victory. He sees the clear path to defeat. Daniel Davis, another military veteran expert, same perspective. He sees only defeat going on. He sees only skeptical takes. Larry Johnson, he's been doing the podcast rounds and on his own podcast. He has been giving the same exact analysis. And my understanding is that he worked with JSOC for like multiple decades. Here's another one of him that I saw earlier today. Obviously, Richard has been doing great reporting. He's not like an ex-military expert, but he's been doing great fucking reporting. More of Danny Haipong. That is John Mearsheimer. Another expert with experience coming in at the same assessment of what's going on. That's another Daniel Davis. I want to come back to this actually CBC news report, but it's a good, concise breakdown of what's going on right now with the Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz should be easy for the U.S., right? On the one hand, you have the world's most powerful navy. 11 aircraft carrier strike groups backed by hundreds of ships, thousands of planes, tens of thousands of missiles and bombs.
To the chat saying Scott is a chomo. Maybe. Or is it possible that a, shall we say, prominent critic of Israel caught an Israeli smear campaign at one point in his past? I don't know the answer to that. But I'm always rather skeptical when I hear these dubious past claims of someone like that being accused of things like that while they're also dropping bombs on Israel. So I'm just saying. Just saying. Yeah, I'm not in Texas anymore. I took a move. I'm hanging out in the great state of Tennessee for the next month. And it's awesome. It's a great time. I think that's about as location specific as I'm going to get.
And on the other hand, you have this tiny waterway, only tens of kilometers across at its narrowest point, obstructed only by a regime that has been pummeled now by airstrikes for nearly 2 straight weeks with no sign of letting up, fighting for a passage the U.S. desperately wants to reopen because it may just be the most economically important maritime choke point on Earth, with 20% of the world's oil transiting through, and they can't take it? I mean, they sound like they can take it.
We have capabilities that no other nation on Earth has. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. If Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder.
But the flow of oil has largely stopped, and the U.S. hasn't been able to get it going again. And actually, a quick scan of headlines maybe even suggests the opposite is happening. Iran laying mines, international cargo ships in the vicinity being hit, dark smoke pouring into the sky. Why?
Oh, I didn't even show the videos of the oil tankers fucking burning. A couple oil tankers fucked around and found out that Iran was not joking when they said they would bomb your shit. And oh boy, were those fires massive. I don't know if there's more footage of it in this video, but it was wild to watch.
Can't the U.S. just take over the Strait of Hormuz and get oil tanker traffic moving again? Well, because it's a lot harder than it sounds. Almost every problem with the U.S.
So I know this guy is CBC News. I just like his vibe. I like his vibe, okay? I'm just going to be straight. I like his vibe. It's like kind of Metro Asian vibe. Very direct. I like him. Gigi, you calm down. Calm down. We're going to finish the stream and then we'll do dinner, okay?
U.S. defending the Strait of Hormuz stems from its size and geography. The fact that it's so narrow means there are just 2 designated...
It is kind of wild, you know, how this has been this state of the global oil economy your whole life. And you never really realized how fucking fragile it all was. How it was all like bitter enemies, the most evil enemies in the world. It's like if the Sith controlled like the other side of the marketplace. And you just live in the market and all of global trade goes through this market, and the like evil Sith Iran literally just is like right across the street on the other side of the market. And you can just like throw rocks at each other at any time. But if like everyone is selling like glass castles, and if anyone throws a fucking rock, the whole thing shatters. And it's just been this way your whole life. And no one really, unless you pay attention to it, no one really noticed how fucking fragile it was until someone decided to fuck with Iran. And now it's like, oh, wow. The whole global economy is completely fucked.
Shipping lanes deep enough to accommodate the world's biggest oil tankers.
Important point. It's not just about how wide is the waterway. It's about actually what parts of the waterway are deep enough for the boats to get through, which is even narrower than the actual narrow strait.
That's 1 lane in, 1 lane out, just 3 kilometers wide each and 3 kilometers apart. Now, If you're Iran and you've just threatened to set ablaze any tanker that tries to go through,
attention all ships, from now on. All navigating through the Straights of Hormuz is forbidden.
then you have a very predictable, very tightly confined kill box to work with.
They can hone in very easily on some of those ships, try and navigate those difficult waters. You can't pass a lot of ships through. You can't get ships through there at high velocity.
Oil tankers are big, slow, clunky targets.
They're like they're like cities. They're like 10 barns put together. Trying to hit an oil tanker with an explosive is it's like throwing a baseball at the ocean. It's the easiest target to hit on the fucking planet. And it's made out of explosives. It's literally made out of explosives. It's the worst possible scenario you could ever have to try to defend something.
Through the strait itself, they travel at most at around 20, 30 kilometers an hour. Huge targets on well-known paths would make for a very appealing, very easy ambush.
They provide for like a target-rich environment for the Iranians trying to fire a drone.
Almost all attacks benefit for being very close to land from an Iranian point of view. So Iran can use a lot of weapon systems that are short range. So rockets, short range missiles.
Coastal artillery for literally direct fire that's close to inside of Iran and inside of areas where they've hidden artillery, the rounds that could hit from a local distance, but then also from a greater distance further away.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand this. But I'm pretty sure if you sink one oil tanker in the middle of the shipping lane, it's pretty much closed. Maybe 2 or 3, right? Like, if any of these fucking boats go down in the strait gets smaller. There's really no room for error here.
Away.
An attack or multiple attacks at once from so close would leave American warships very little time to defend. Typically, when we think about the kinds of munitions Iran has used to attack its Persian Gulf neighbors, we're talking about a transit time of several minutes or even hours for the slowest moving cruise missiles and drones. That's the kind of lead time you'd like to have to reliably shoot them down. But against an attack from so close, the defender in the Strait
And even with that lead time, we can't fucking shoot them down. They're all getting through.
of Hormuz might have just seconds to react.
You have to detect, track, identify, track, and then intercept a missile, and it goes very, very fast.
And when you think about how many tankers there would be to defend, typical traffic is 3,000 a month. That's 100 a day. That's a challenge.
These are not military ships. These are transport ships. They do not have any defenses.
And that's to say nothing of the threat from Iranian airspace.
Iran is launching waves of drones and missiles while the United States and Israel are scrambling to shoot them down.
And it's saying nothing of their underwater drone capability, of which we have seen nothing yet. And my understanding is that they have an entire unmanned underwater vehicle program and a whole bunch of fucking basically underwater missiles that can just swim around in the water for a day or two and wait and then hit you. Not a complicated technology. They claim, based on what I've seen, they claim that their underwater drone technology is actually more advanced than most other nations in the world.
Just this morning, 3 ships in the Persian Gulf reported being struck by suspected Iranian drones.
What makes the Strait of Hormuz so risky to transit is that it is within striking distance of one of Iran's most efficient weapons of war. Shahed drones, depending on the model, have a theoretical max range of up to 2,500 kilometers. That's long enough to strike the strait from literally any part of the country, which is devastating when you consider the impact of a 100-pound warhead costing in the tens of thousands of dollars to manufacture.
Meaning they could literally just hide in a hole somewhere in a random mountain in fucking Iran and just launch a barrage of Shahed drones. Just you're fucked. You're totally fucked.
Slamming into these hulking, lumbering targets worth potentially hundreds of...
If they can't defend a $1 billion radar system, they can't defend an oil tanker.
Millions.
Let alone 100 a
day.
day.
Alone, a big chunk of that. This is a big problem. Then there's the threat from the water.
Iran could use a number of small boats that could perhaps evade detection, at least briefly, use them in combination to overwhelm ships' defenses.
Swarms of drones, mines that are laid, jet skis, small boats that wreak havoc. Think a terrorist attack that would take place on land someplace. Do the same thing. Get close enough to a tanker with a bomb and explode it there. Blow a hole in the side of it, sink it. That's really
this
what
is
their
the
capability
footage
is right now.
that I was talking
Now,
about.
the U.S. Secretary of
There, blow a
The
hole
actual original video is longer, but this footage is wild.
in the side of it, sink it. That's
It blows up and it just fucking lights. It's crazy.
really what their capability is right now.
Now, the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has continuously minimized whatever is left of Iran's navy.
The Iranian Navy is largely no more. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is diminishing and will be increasingly diminished.
But the experts we spoke to told us it doesn't take much to cause damage.
For Iran to disrupt that, they just have to put 3 mines in there. And once an area is mined, it's never technically unmined. So once you introduce that uncertainty, which is extremely cheap, and it introduces unconfidence in insurance markets and commerce. And so there's a huge cost asymmetry here.
And this begins to touch on another problem for the U.S., which is that it doesn't take many Iranian successes to equal an American loss.
Bingo. Asymmetry. Because remember, 20% of the world's oil flows through this strait. And so no matter what we do, we lose. The entire world loses. And it's directly America and Israel's fault. It's directly Trump's fault.
One political problem with Trump's war in Iran is that it is unpopular, especially among Democrats, but even among Republicans.
I don't know. I have it on good authority that 95% of MAGA Republicans support this war. Laura Loomer told me, so it must be true.
NBC News polling shows a majority of voters disapprove of the president's handling of the situation in Iran.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I have found the explanations lacking.
This happened because Israel wanted it to happen.
6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what?
So the tolerance for loss, any loss of American military strength, military lives, is extremely low, especially compared to what Iran's leaders can tolerate while still maintaining control of the country.
For the Iranian regime, they see this as existential. And this regime has shown
And it
previously
is.
that it's willing to kill thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of its own people to stay in power. On the other hand, in the United States, President Trump hasn't made the case for war to the American people. And of course, if there are casualties, especially heavy casualties.
It kind of blows my mind that experts still just run with the Iran killed thousands and thousands and thousands of its own people to stay in power kind of thing, where it's just like, yeah, they probably killed some of their own people, but like no one's going to have any thoughts about intelligence agencies and coups and how like we overthrow governments for a living out here. It's really weird how many experts can be totally blind to the history of the CIA. And like, I don't know for sure how much of it was CIA. That's impossible to know. But to not like question that narrative after what happened in the Ukraine, after what happened in every other nation that we've ever tried to overthrow is pretty fucking mind-blowing to me.
On the U.S. side, that's going to decrease popular support as well. Iran may suffer far more damage, but it is certainly willing to suffer more damage than is the United States.
It should go without saying, in conventional open naval combat, the U.S. Navy would absolutely crush Iran's. But that's not what a battle for the Strait of Hormuz would be. And even if the U.S. were to eventually win that fight, whatever winning in this case means, it would only take a few successful strikes from Iran to cost the global economy billions of dollars in damage and to completely shut down commercial shipping if ever
Trillions
it did
of dollars.
resume. Because the key thing to remember is that all of those oil tankers sitting around, they're not stuck because they can't go through the strait. They're stuck because they don't want to.
The main obstacle that's keeping ships from traversing the Strait of Hormuz is not weapons or threats or mines or anything else. It's insurance. Insurance companies have been really quickly scaling down the level of insurance they have, the kinds of insurance they have, and in some cases, the insurance policy entirely, and just said it will not apply if you traverse through the Strait of Hormuz.
So for the U.S. to take over the strait in such a way that gives the corporations that use it enough confidence to actually do so, it would have to all but destroy Iran's ability to strike from land. It would have to suppress its drone capability, neutralize its naval bases, disarm its mines. Not to mention, the U.S. would have to put its own military assets at risk in the
They basically have to kill every single Iranian citizen on the planet. Because the thing about Iranian citizens is they believe in martyrdom. And they have a holy war on their hands against Israel, their greatest enemy. And the war started by Israel and America bombing a girls' school of 165 children. Okay? Us martyring their religious leader. So it's like literally to the last fucking teenager in Iran, they're still going to be fighting. It's never going to happen. No, they did not take the island yet. They haven't tried yet. They bombed the shit out of the island. But only the military infrastructure, not the oil infrastructure.
Direct line of enemy fire.
So the United States has got to create
Shout
an
out to
environment
Moral for the
that,
subs.
those ships feel safe. Perhaps there'll be some American flag ones that get escorted through, but it's going to take probably weeks more of military operations.
The first phase was decapitation strike, take out the leadership. The next phase is to deplete the ballistic, cruise missile, and drone capability, hitting the launchers, the stockpiles, the
None of that's happening.
facilities, and whatnot. This takes time.
So that's not just a run-of-the-mill.
No, it doesn't. It takes a stockpile that's bigger than theirs. And we've very much are aware that our stockpile is much smaller, much more expensive, and going to take way longer to replenish than theirs. They're way ahead of us.
Naval escort mission. That's large-scale war, requiring, quite possibly, the comprehensive destruction of Iran's armed forces. Meanwhile, if any ship were to sink in the Strait of Hormuz, how do you get it out? How do you free up enough of the lane to make it useful again?
Yeah.
What good is a passageway once it's turned into a war zone?
This is a situation where the world is going to learn that this is just too important of a choke point that can never be risked again. And opening it up, should it go down, will take time. And time is money when it comes to moving of natural gas and oil.
The bottom line being, one of the most important waterways in the world is also apparently one of the easiest to disrupt, because Iran, to make good on its threat, never actually needed to control the strait. It only needed to make it too dangerous to use.
Everybody's finding out, and all the leadership intimately knows the truth at the end of that video. That Iran only needs to sink one boat in there, and it's all over. The whole global economy is completely fucked for months, maybe years or more. And so I genuinely, I don't think, for all the bluster, all the bullshit, I don't think anyone's going to be dumb enough to try it, despite how dumb our leaders are. And so I think that the only way that this opens back up is a peace deal. And you just ask yourself, what do you think Iran is going to need from a peace deal? Do you think Iran's going to fucking trust either of our governments ever again? We were literally in peace talks when we bombed them out of nowhere at Israel's behest. If I was Iran, I wouldn't fucking stop until I destroyed Israel. I certainly wouldn't stop until I destroyed their whole nuclear capability and completely neutered them. And probably killed Bibi and all the other fucking retards at the top over there. They have no reason to stop. They have every advantage right now. And they're never going to get this fucking opportunity again. Russia, the peace broker that Trump is trying to use, they're making a fucking killing because Trump had to lift all of the oil sanctions that they put on Russia in order to ease the economic toll that this is taking. And so Russia is now making 100% on oil that it had been selling for a huge discount. Russia's raking it in. And they're probably going to get a whole slice of Ukraine out of this. Whether that's by force or by deal. China is fucking chilling. I mean, China is a little threatened in their resources and their oil dependency on Iran, but they're still getting their Iranian oil because Iran is letting Chinese tankers through. And China is getting massive military advantage out of this. I just saw reporting today that I have not yet confirmed that China has apparently surrounded Taiwan. And if the reporting is true that I saw, it looks like China's about to take Taiwan. Shit is about to change forever. Shit is about to go the fuck down. And I'm praying that the American homeland stays safe. But I am starting to get a little more and more concerned that the American homeland might not stay safe for this entire thing. Whether that's through war with China or whether that's through Israeli false flags. or whether that's through us overthrowing our own fucking government. Praying we're good. And so far, I think we're fine. Iran certainly poses no threat to us. Actually, Iran's fucking leadership, let me pull this up real quick. This will be the last thing. We'll close on this. My light is dying here, and I got to feed Gigi. But Iran literally, oh my God, this post is too good. Where is it? Iran's new leader, the new Ayatollah, trolled the living fuck out of our leadership. I know I saved it. I must have saved it. Right? Fuck, did I not save it? God damn it. I'm getting like Tucker troll memes. He posted literally from his, maybe there. No. He posted a statement that they have no intention to attack America and that any strike on American soil is an Israeli false flag. But I'm not seeing it now, which has me a little confused. Oh, there it is. Boom. It's Ali Larijani, who I think is their president or prime minister, not their Ayatollah. Shows how much I know. Let me pull this up. Ali Larijani. It has been reported that what remains of Epstein's network is working to prepare a conspiracy aimed at fabricating an incident similar to the September 11th attacks in preparation for accusing Iran of being behind it. The Islamic Republic of Iran categorically rejects such plots and terrorist operations on principle and does not wage war against the American people. Called the fuck out. And that's obvious. You didn't need me to tell you that. You didn't need him to tell you that. Obviously, if we get false flagged, it's Israel. No shit. And at this point, that is getting to be a real concern, unfortunately. So, stay frosty and keep your head on a swivel. Be careful out there. If you live near that fucking bank in LA that Larry Silverstein just bought, fucking move. Get the fuck away from Larry Silverstein's new giant bank tower in LA. Just don't do it. Just say no to Larry Silverstein. Whatever you do. Personally, I think they're going to have to take a different tactic than 9/11. And all of those thoughts are concerning. But the unfortunate truth is that we are going into a trial together as a globe, as a world, as a people, as a nation. We are going into hard times. And hard times are going to make hard people. And it does that by being hard times. So get ready. Shit is not going to be... It's not going to be the 90s for the next 10 years, okay? It's not going to be the 90s. So, hopefully, we can just hope that at the end of it, Israel is gone. And the cabal of global influence that they project will be no more. That is the hope. And hopefully then the world can start to heal from this fucking blackmail terrorist regime that has been trying to leverage control over all of us for so long. That's the hope. As for today, that's all we got time for. I'm running out of light. Gigi's getting very hungry. It's dinner time. So we're going to call it there. What has it been? It's been an hour since we got cut out. It's been 2 hours. Do I have a timer over there? I think our timer restarted when we got cut. So I don't know how long we've been going for, but that's more than enough for today. Now that I am established here, look for more streams. We're going to be streaming much more regularly, hopefully, as long as the homies don't pull me into constantly doing social stuff here. Thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being good people around the world. Drink some water. Hopefully not out of a bottle, but, do what you got to do. Eat some healthy food. Eat some good dinner tonight. Tell people you love them. Do nice things for people. Be a good person. Don't be a loomer. Okay? And pray. Pray for the world. Pray for Tucker. We didn't get to talk about Tucker. That's a whole other can of worms. Obviously, fucking pray for Tucker. I pray that if those retards decide to actually try to arrest Tucker for being a good human, for doing his job, the very first thing that Tucker should do is announce that he's running for president. Immediately. And then we'll all figure out what to do. Yeah, we'll figure out exactly how much we're riding at dawn when that happens. Because we'll be fucking riding at dawn. Because we all know that escalation only goes one direction, and we ain't going there. So, love you all. Thanks for being here. That's it for tonight. Be good, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Conspiracy theories are entering a
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true,